Big Drive Energy Monday in October. It's a beautiful time of the year. We got a bunch of sports going on. A lot of important stuff in golf this last week for players that will be making it to the PGA Tour. The Korn Ferry Tour finals finished up. We're going to talk about the winner of that. We've already talked about him on the pod. We have a clip to play from a prior podcast talking about Braden Thornberry. Some interesting news with Tony Finau is coming to a little more light, so we'll touch on that. We've also got President's Cup divots, interesting post from Golf Digest, as well as how much nicotine helps in golf. I do a lot of nicotine, and it feels like it doesn't help me, but maybe I'd be way worse if I wasn't doing it. Plus, we've got a Mulligan Monday and our Scheffler of the week. All right, let's tee it up. Welcome to Big Drive Energy Monday. Like, we used to have these as winner's circle editions, and sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I feel like this is a little bit of a winner's circle edition with what Braden Thornberry did. I am at Big Drive Spence. He is at Big Drive Mitch. How was your weekend, brother? Broncos cooking. I had a great day yesterday. My voice, as you can tell, a little in and out. I'm going to be in and out with my voice from the day yesterday. But how was your weekend? How's your last week been? Any more fallout from the trip? We posted a few clips from our pod last week talking about the Whistling Straits trip, and a lot of people got some interesting comments on that. So how's your weekend been, and how's your last week been?
It's been good, man. The weather's starting to cool off here. It's really starting to feel like fall, which I know you can't say for Denver, which kind of sucks. I am going to be back there next week for a while, or for a week, and then we're going to New Orleans, which is going to be an absolute party. I have had just a lingering, a little bit of a cold. I think it's just from not sleeping enough, probably hitting the booze a little too hard, having a little too much fun. And you just do that frequently enough, your battery kind of starts running on empty. So like 4 or 5 days ago, I thought I was like out of the weeds, when you're starting to feel you're better, and you feel like one morning you're just going to wake up and it's going to be completely gone. I was almost there, and then I thought the next day I was going to wake up and feel better. I woke up and felt way worse. Like I just went back into it. And now it's in my sinuses and shit. As you can tell, it sounds like I've got my fingers jammed up my fucking schnoz. So that's not a whole lot of fun. But other than that, man, football was phenomenal. College football, don't need to talk about Iowa, but just all the upsets in college football were amazing, made for a wonderful Saturday. And then Sunday, so let's come back to this pick'em situation that we've had, because I whiffed. Let's be real. I had a rough week. I went 2-4, but I wanted the Broncos. Spencer would not let me take the Broncos.
We did take them.
Did we?
Yeah, that was one of our 6 wins, I believe.
So did I go 3-3 then?
Let me log in.
You need to relook at what we had, because I think we had Bills, which, oh my God, what the fuck are the Bills doing? I have not seen Josh Allen look that bad, and just the poorest coaching job in the entire world done by Sean McDermott up there in Buffalo. That was atrocious. I don't really think the Texans are that good, and they just keep winning football games, but they don't look great. Like, I don't know what their deal is. But the Bills hosed me. The Jets hosed me. Every single loss that I took in the pick'em came down to the last drive, and they did not convert. It was, who was it? It was Jets, it was Bills, and it was it the Browns? Did I take the Browns? You didn't let me take the Browns.
No, I think I kept you off of the Browns for sure. We're almost there.
Thank God. So they're the worst fucking team in the league. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's amazing how the mighty have fallen and how bad Deshaun Watson is at football. We took New York Jets, loser, which didn't really it had a chance. I mean, they had the ball at the end, of course. Aaron Rodgers couldn't make it happen for the boys. We had Baltimore, so that was a winner. Probably the most insane win. Like you don't think it's going to be a winner. Turns out to be Buffalo. We lost that one. Oh, we had New England. What a mess. Every time we have a team like that where it's two bad teams against each other, one of the teams is obviously going to win, but when you pick the wrong one, I always say to myself, why did we bank on New England winning the football game?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just the Dolphins look terrible, and them being at Foxborough, I thought was going to be the difference, but I forgot that Jacoby Brissett is terrible, and then they also have nobody at wide receiver. It is just so crazy to think what the Patriots team was 4 or 5 years ago versus what they are now. They're just an absolute shell of their former selves. So that's always, I mean, it's almost not even fun now to like shit on the Patriots because they're so bad. And all the Patriots fans still are like, oh, 6 rings, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't care. You guys fucking suck now. Um, which I will say, like, Broncos fans have gotten real cocky for us only beating the Raiders one time in the last 5 years. Now,
One time since COVID-19, basically, is what it is.
I thought about that. I was like, literally, we haven't beat the Raiders since fucking COVID, since everybody had to stay inside their house for like 3 months. Holy shit, that's absolutely absurd that we have not beat the Raiders in that long. I thought the door. Oh, something's creaking back here. Fucking. I got the window open because it's nice and cool, but shit's blowing around in here.
You got some ghosts. We had the Broncos, so shout out to us. I only didn't want to take the Broncos because I didn't want another reason to be mad if they lost, and if they would have won by 2 and covered, I wouldn't have felt as bad. But if they would have lost the game and then we would have not had Vegas, I would have been pissed. Oh, and then we had. I will give you shit for this one because I was on the other side of this, and you could see clearly now. So you had your whole slate out there. Seattle Seahawks lost by 9 to the New York Giants, and
Bro,
said I like the Giants in that spot getting 6.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Let me pull back on that.
You like the Giants until Neighbors was out.
Correct. Yes.
I agree. And once I saw the Neighbors news, I thought I was fucking sharp by saying that obviously because the lines in the pick'em get sent out early in the week and they don't move. So I look at the lines that have moved the most in the other direction. And did you see the stat? I think now that 5.5 to 6.5 range is like death for favored teams. I think they're like 11-3 outright. The underdog is when they're dogs by 5.5 to 6.5 points. It's absurd.
Well, and you can even throw that up higher, like any of the lines that were that high or further up. Like this week there was 2 lines like that. Seattle lost by 9, and the Niners were 7.5 point favorites and lost outright as well.
Oh, wait, real quick. We need to talk about that because you wanted to take the Niners.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I say, did we take the Cardinals?
No, we didn't take either.
What the fuck, dude? I told you to take the Cardinals. I don't like how you have carte blanche on entering the shit here.
No, I would like you to go back and look at your Sunday morning text again and it shows exactly. I picked exactly what I didn't just go in and say, oh, I think, because then if you would have hit something and I wouldn't have bet it or I wouldn't have put it in our pick'em, you would have lost your shit on me. So I left it out. I did exactly as you said. I'm a good soldier.
I will say we're in another pick'em and you're like in last place. So I'm second to last. You're second to last. I saw the updated standings.
Oh, after this week? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think you've hit 4 games so far this week. So you're on a fucking hot one. But the parity is just at an all-time high this year in the NFL. I will actually say I live bet the Jets money line pretty heavily. I put they were plus 400. I put like 200 on them to win 800. And I low key was like, holy shit, they may actually do this. And then it's just so weird. You feel like yesterday, the Jets, I thought we're going to go down and win the game. I thought the Seahawks were going to go down and win the game. I thought the Niners were going to go down and win the game. They all had opportunities on the last drive, and none of them converted. When you just feel like when you're watching it, you feel like there's no chance they don't win. You know what I mean? And then the Giants situation was unbelievable. Blocking that field goal and returning it for a touchdown. I turned away from the TV for 5 seconds, and Missy goes, is this live? And I see the Giants are running into the end zone. I'm like, what just happened? I turned away for literally 2 seconds, and then I was flipping the channel on YouTube TV. I was trying to change the quad box, and it was the Broncos' first drive of the game where they got it down to like into the red zone. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even know how they got into the red zone, but it happened in like 15 seconds. And all of a sudden they're on the 5-yard line. And I'm like, I just missed the biggest play of the game for sure. But tell me how it was. You FaceTime me hammered from the players parking lot. You're hanging out with our buddy, Justin Sternad, who's tearing it up, by the way. Be remiss to not give him a shout out.
Dog.
Huh?
Our boy Justin's a dog.
Dog.
Led the team in tackles yesterday, a couple TFLs, flying around the field. Yeah, it was a cool experience. We sat in our seats that were tailgate was awesome.
Real quick, I got to tell you, the broadcast yesterday, it was one dude that was pretty well known. The other guy, I didn't know his name. I forget who they were. Tom something, old school dude, was like the play-by-play, and the color guy, and then this random dude was doing play-by-play. He at one point he called Garbs Alex Singletary. So he was not even calling Justin his name. He was calling him Alex. He was trying to call him Alex Singleton, and then he wasn't even getting Alex's name right. I'm like, holy shit. And Missy actually looked at me and she goes, do they not have somebody to tell them? And I'm like, yeah, how? Because he did it like 4 times. I'm like, how can you sit in the booth next to a dude that's clearly saying the wrong name and just let him keep saying it over and over and over again? I was fucking annoyed, but 40 stayed in the backfield. He was fucking flying around, covering the running back. I actually have to tell you about a text exchange we had from the Jets game real quick, because he was out covering Breece Hall. And I was like, dude, I saw you out there flying. And he goes, I just heard the crowd get real loud and I just started hauling ass because I thought the ball was coming to Breece. He's like, I heard the crowd and just fucking took off. I was like, I don't blame you, dude, because Breece just burn you up the sideline. But he's been playing awesome. So, yes, tailgate was awesome. It looked like, did Austin Lenz get lost? Was he just that fucked up? What was that story?
Yeah, so we hit it pretty hard at the tailgate. I kind of hung soberish until most of the end once we started packing up and getting ready to go into the game. But yeah, he was lost in the game. He went to see his cousin or his wife's cousin, and he calls me, and he's calling me in the middle of the game, which is annoying the absolute shit out of me. Like, we're sitting in the seats. I didn't leave. I only leave to go to the bathroom, quick in, out, don't miss a ton. He's calling me and he's like, I think I'm really close. I'm in 117, next to 117. Could not be further away from 135 or 100 where our seats were. Literally direct caddy corner to where our seats were. Not even close. I'm like, dude, you have to walk around the entire stadium and go to 100 or 135, because where we walk in for these seats, it's literally between the section 100 and 135 where it wraps around. So it's a little confusing if you had a few pops and you're looking at those. You're like, well, do I go to 100 or 135? Either way, you got to go the same way around. And then he's like calling, like he could not get it together. And then we went on the field after the game. He took some pictures and he was doing the toe taps in the corner of the end zone and stuff. It was pretty electric, but seeing Garbs was cool. And then walking out of the stadium where a bunch of people are, clamoring for autographs. We were actually walking out with, Mitchell Fabroni, who's the long snapper. Guy's electric. His mom is so funny. We talked to her for like 30 minutes. But we walked out of the tunnel and we were walking right with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was right behind us, and some kid had a Wilson Jets jersey and I heard Zach say like something to the effect of like, I'm not signing today or whatever. And then he saw the kid with the Wilson jersey. And he's like, oh, I think I got to sign that one. So he went over and signed it. But then we just hung out in the players' lot. Did a little post-game tailgate, and then I got the boys home. Neither of them could drive, so we left a car there. I got them home. safe and sound. Austin went to bed at like 7 p.m. Right when we got home. He went to bed before my 1.5-year-old son went to bed.
My
And he woke up
1.5-year-old son.
he woke up today. He's like, I feel great. I was like, yeah, dude, you slept from like 7 to 7. That's like you're a child. Like that's a 1-year-old sleep cycle is sleeping 12 hours at night. So yeah, of course you feel good.
Yeah, you should have woke him up with a bottle of fucking formula the way he was sleeping. I gotta say, remember the last time we walked out of the players' lot? This is when Brandon McManus was still on the team and he was just sitting on his tailgate drinking a six-pack like Uncle fucking Rico. That was the most legendary shit. I mean, McManus obviously kind of confirmed scumbag now by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I won't
But
out any players on the pod. I can tell you later, but there was multiple dudes sitting on their tailgates drinking beers in the players' parking lot after
I
the
love
game.
that. That's good
Yeah,
shit. That's
I won't say who, but there was a couple.
was the environment just off the hook? Was it insane?
Oh, yeah, it was electric the whole way through. I mean, it started out like it was 10-0 quick, so it was kind of subdued. But the Pat Surtain pick six, where he ran into the end zone was right in front of us. So he ran right up the sideline, right in front of us the whole time, and that was electric. But I was kind of subdued because I was actually watching the game. Lost in Lenz and Eric Tuttle were not really watching; they were just like more partying. And so they see Pat running it back, and I can see the flag that they threw mid play. So from my angle, so I was like, "Oh, this is a block in the back, or this is something on this return. This is coming back." So they're like jumping around, hugging me, and I'm like, "Guys, calm down." Like then the refs got together, talked it out. I think what it was they were going to call one of the I can't remember who it was, but one of the D linemen just took Gardner Minshew and like drove him like 20 yards back and then pile drived him into the turf. So I think that's maybe what they were going to call, and then just decided like, nah, that play was way too cool. There's got to be a little bit of human nature in some refs where they're like, no, that was too cool. That makes this game way too much fun. It's not that obvious, so let's pick up the flag.
That's exactly what it was. He got blocked into the Earth's crust, and that is, I guess, I was listening to 104.3 The Fan this morning. I'm sorry, not 104.3. Good God, 92.5 Altitude. Good God, I can't believe I fucking butchered that. Shout out Altitude. That's obviously the go-to spot if you're listening to FM radio. But they were talking about how, well, Vic was like, it completely ruined the celebration. Like, why even call it? And I understand why they called it in the first place, but then they were like, yeah, do you ever notice when the football gets turned over, immediately there's defensive guys that start seeking out the quarterback because he's basically a defender at that point. The field is completely flipped in an instant, and now everybody wants to fucking pile drive the quarterback. Like, I need Pat Surtain to pick Patrick Mahomes off, and then I need somebody to come up and hit Kermit the Frog really fucking hard, because that is the only way you're going to do it legally. But yeah, Gardner Minshew just got pushed into the Earth's crust, and I think it was Cody Barton that did it. And then also I think Garbs was kind of chauffeuring Surtain into the end zone, so that was pretty cool as well. I guess, do you just want to segue that into our Scheffler of the week? Because my Scheffler of the week is going to be, yeah, here we go. Love that graphic. Love to see it. My Scheffler of the week is Patrick Surtain. He had a fucking unbelievable game. Single-handedly flipped the momentum. Like you were saying, it was 10-0. I was on tilt. I was being an asshole. Like, I was already in such a bad mood. And then all of a sudden that pick six and just completely flipped the momentum. The Broncos scored 34 unanswered points, which I don't know if we can say that since Peyton Manning's been here probably. So I just can't say enough about the Broncos defense, man. They've been so much fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, Patrick Surtain is clearly, and especially with Sauce Gardner getting his shit worked over yesterday in London, I don't want to hear this Sauce Gardner's better than PS2 nonsense. Cause I swear to God, I think Sauce had like 6 penalties for like 90 yards called on him yesterday. He was holding on every single play. Basically, he could not get away from, and granted, Justin Jefferson's probably the best receiver in the league, but he gave Sauce the work. So I don't want to hear a word about it. Surtain is on another level. The dude's just he's the best cornerback in the league right now, no questions asked.
Yo, 100%. My Sheffy of the week goes to one Jabril Peppers. It seems like every week we get just handed out a nice Sheffy of the week on a Monday. So Jabril Peppers was arrested Saturday morning on assault and cocaine possession charges. Police said Monday in a statement that it responded to a disturbance at a residential address, caller indicating an altercation between two people. Peppers was arrested, and the victim of the alleged altercation was treated by emergency medical services at the scene. He will be charged with assault and battery. So I don't know if he was ripping pants like Scotty Scheffler did to this cop, running him over with his car. It seems like this wasn't towards a cop, so Jabril Pepper is not near bad of a human as Scotty Scheffler. But the one comment I did have, so do you know what Jabril Peppers does? Like, he was really good at Michigan. He's kind of floated around the league. But do you know what's one of the interesting things about him in the NFL?
I mean, he's one of the. I feel like he's been in the league for forever, but no, I don't know what he's.
So this is fucked
does.
up. He's 29, so he's been in the league a little while. But this is fucked up. But he's one of the dudes that wears a Guardian cap as he plays safety. So clearly, it's not keeping his CTE down if he's gonna get arrested for all this shit. The Guardian cap's not helping, Chief. Wear a normal helmet. Dude, I know it's bad because, like, these guys are obviously just flying around and putting their literal life on the line every single Sunday, but I can't get past it. I can't. When I see somebody with it, I'm immediately like, not my guy.
Yeah, I mean, just go play a different sport at that point. If you're not agreeing to what you signed up for, the Guardian cap just makes you look. And honestly, the one position I could see it being in would be if you were a running back. Like, I feel like running backs just get the shit beat out of them, game in, game out. They're getting hit on almost every single play, whether they're blocking or running or catching the ball. Like, they're taking impact after impact. But if you're a safety and you're wearing a fucking Guardian cap, then maybe don't just fly around spearing people like that. Maybe just learn how to tackle properly, I guess. I'm thinking of Julius Peppers, not Jabril Peppers. So that was the dude that's since retired, the edge rusher, correct?
Yeah. He's going to the Hall of Fame, I think, this year. That's how.
Yeah, okay. Julius, Jabril, yeah, different guys.
But I could see it too with offensive linemen. Because, you say a running back gets hit every play, usually does. Offensive linemen are 100% engaged with their upper body with some 300-plus pound man on either side, offensive or defensive, every single play. And I know our boy James Daniels wears one, and he's an Iowa boy. Yeah.
Okay.
He's an offensive lineman.
I was also going to say the irony of Jabril Peppers wearing a Guardian cap and then assaulting someone is they probably could have used a Guardian cap. Like, he's not the one that needs it if he's doing the assaulting.
Yeah, you need to bring that Guardian cap home to whoever is on the receiving end of your assholeness.
Yeah, that's like the meme. Oh, grab a gun, but not for, or call the cops, but not for me though. Like, you're fucking. You don't need the Guardian cap here, pal, if you're beating the shit out of somebody. I will say it's not really funny. It makes it even worse. I think it was domestic violence. Like, he's just a genuine, real piece of shit. So,
oh yeah, nothing laughable about the whole scenario. But he does get our Sheffy of the week. So congratulations to you, Jabril Peppers. This is a golf podcast, so we're going to talk about some golf here. Let's start out with Braden Thornberry. So this is a guy that, one of our favorite follows on the X, Monday Q Info, always talks about. We even put some bets on him earlier in the year. He shines light on these. This is kind of like his time to shine, I feel like, Monday Q Infos. Now, he's got the whole year with the Mondays and stuff, but this is the time where, after yesterday and the finality of the finals, I guess, if you will, of the Korn Ferry Tour, 30 players earned their PGA Tour card going into 2025. And Braden Thornberry is one of those. We have a clip here. This is from our podcast a couple of months ago with Josh Seipel that we're going to play. So it's just a little clip of us talking about Braden Thornberry, who was an Ole Miss teammate of Josh Seipel way back in the day.
Well, so I got to ask you, because you played with Braden Thornberry, and he was pretty close to doing what Nick Dunlap did. He almost won a PGA Tour event. What was his junior year of college.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, was it like the RSM Classic or something like that?
No, it was the TPC Southwind before it became the playoff event.
Okay,
And that,
okay, but yeah, he finished like top 5, right?
yeah, he finished like third. He had like he shot nothing on the weekend. I think he like kind of maybe made the cut like by a couple or right on the number and just went off. But I mean, shit, that sophomore, that was the most fun year I had in school. That was the year I came back from injury. I think we won in the fall. We won 4 out of the 5 and finished like second. He won probably like 6 times and then the national championship. And then we had another kid on our team, Ben Walcott, that was a good player, and he won twice. I think we won maybe 2 more times in the spring. So like, and we got to go to every home football game that year. So it was just like perfect storm, and our team was great. We had a bunch of good dudes on the team, so it was so much fun. But I kind of went on a tangent there. I forgot.
No, dude, that's probably your Roman Empire. You probably think about that shit like once a week.
Oh, it was so much fun. And but that then so Braden went there and like finishes third, and I mean the kid was red hot for a year and a half. I think he won the Sunny Hannah and something else that summer too. Like it was phenomenal.
I remember it because, like we talked about the whole Nick Dunlap thing. Do you think any part of him wishes he would have turned pro, like just strike while the iron's hot kind of thing, like right there? Because I don't know what kind of status he would have had. He probably would have, that at least gets you into the next event. You top 10, you could play again. But that's just so tough because like, I'm sure Braden, he's probably one of the best players you ever saw play in person at one point, that run he went on. And now it's like, he's on the Korn Ferry. He's kind of jumping all around. Like you would think by his college career, he would be a mainstay on tour at this point. So it's like we talked about, you gotta, when you're hot, and you gotta ride it. So did he consider that at all?
I think so, but it was kind of like his happened very quickly. And like, I guess he was the number 1 AM in the world for like probably a year after that. But like it wasn't, to your like talking to PGA Tour like he didn't get rewarded almost at all for having, I mean, I'm sure I could be totally off, but I would imagine that's a top 10 or top 5 season in all of college golf. And like kind of got screwed. I mean, now if, to your point, Nick Dunlap does that, I'm sure he would have had plenty of live offers. He would have had, guaranteed PGA Tour starts. So it's just like a little bit of he was 2 years early, kind of got screwed on that.
Yeah, so interesting stuff that we talked about. And now Braden Thornberry, after winning the finals, he needed to get second place, at least a solo second, in order to earn his tour card. He ended up turning around and winning it all. Shout out to, Braden Thornberry, number 1, obviously, but shout out to PMT Sports Biz, our guy Jake Marsh doing the interview on PGA Tour. That's cool to see. I love that guy. Just a, salt of the earth kind of dude. I don't know if he's really... I don't know if he's really ready for Big J journalism broadcasting, but I'm not one to say that. I just sit here and talk behind a mic. But Braden Thornberry needing to go into this week and get a solo second and going out and winning the tournament, now getting his PGA Tour card. He was number 6, finished number 16 on the points list for the Korn Ferry Tour this year, going to get his tour card for next year. Awesome to see after what we talked about earlier, where he was fighting, struggling, could have made the PGA Tour if he was born 3 years later and had the same run. But now he just fought through that, and now he's going to be on the PGA Tour full-time in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the discussion we had about Nick Dunlap deciding to turn pro when he won a PGA Tour event. Braden Thornberry was the number 1 amateur in the world. He won 11 times in college. He was like the biggest can't miss. He was fucking Jamarcus Russell, basically, coming out of college. A shoo-in to be a PGA Tour player, one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world. And as you can see now, it's taken him 5 years to get out on tour. And that just goes to show you, like, you never know how hard it's going to be to get back out there if you get your opportunity. And Braden Thornberry ultimately is back out there, which is awesome because he's so good and he deserves to be out there. But it's just crazy that it took him this long. And that's why we always say, if you can strike while the iron's hot and you've got that kind of opportunity to to get out on tour and at least give it a shot, then you can't turn that shit down. So very happy for him. I mean, yeah, he shot 6 under on Sunday, which was just an unreal round. I think one of the lowest rounds of the week for sure, because that course is playing super tough. And then you had guys like Doc Redman who missed by only a couple strokes. And I looked at his scorecard. He made 2 doubles yesterday. He 4-putted a hole from like 20 feet. And then he had 86 yards in on another par 4 and made double from 86 yards. And those 2 holes ultimately cost him a tour card, which is just insane. But that is ultimately the parity of professional golf. And that is where, like you said, Monday Q Info shines, because the PGA Tour doesn't do a good enough job of highlighting how crazy these swings are, where literally every single swing can mean the difference between being on the PGA Tour next year and not being on the PGA Tour. So just the fact that Braden got it done. And then I also got to give a shout out to Jeremy Paul. He's brothers of Yannick Paul. We've talked about him on the pod, but they both played at CU. He finished, I think, 22nd in the Korn Ferry Tour final money list. So he's going to be on the PGA Tour. His brother's on the DP World Tour. So pretty cool that those 2 brothers from Germany that played at CU are now each on the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. But then there, you know, for all the good stories, there's a bunch of guys like Alistair, is it Doherty or whatever?
Yeah.
He's a Barstool sponsored golfer, the only Barstool sponsored golfer. He finished 32nd. At one point, he was basically on the bubble. He was 1 stroke in, 1 stroke out, and ultimately did not finish inside of the top 30. So just a roller coaster for these guys, where it is such a life-changing day and a life-changing week that it is truly must watch, because the emotions involved are just raw and very real.
Yeah, so Noah Goodwin was number 30, and he had to make a putt on the final hole in order to get his PGA Tour card. And yes, we talk about how intense it is to make a putt to win a tournament and like win a PGA Tour event. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, you want to win every single event you're in. That's why you enter them, unless you're Kevin Kisner. But you enter these events to win and continue to obviously make money, have a living, and then keep your tour card. But I would imagine the difference of Noah Goodwin not getting onto the PGA Tour and having to play on the Korn Ferry Tour for another year, there's a bigger difference there. The gap, the ceiling of that missing that putt, and the floor of missing that putt, and the ceiling of making it is a lot bigger than missing a putt to win a PGA Tour event, where if you're getting second, you're still getting $800,000, and you're not guaranteeing your tour card for a couple of years. But this is, you're not guaranteed to play a tour event ever again. It's when you don't make it through the top 30. And Noah Goodwin actually won twice on his rookie season 2 years ago to earn on the PGA Tour America's card, to earn his Korn Ferry Tour card, and now is headed to the PGA Tour as that 30th and final guy. So just stories like that, it's awesome to see these guys that are getting a chance to win and be able to go play on the PGA Tour, play some fall series events, play, get their game in shape and start next year in 2025. I sent you a picture of all 30. This could be a clippable moment moving forward, but I sent you a pic of all 30 qualifiers. I want you to pick, who's the first guy of these 30 that wins on the PGA Tour in 2025, if any of them?
So I know Frankie Sappin. I think I saw that it's pronounced with like an S, even though it's a Capan. I think his last name is pronounced Sappin. So I think Frankie Sappin is going to emerge the first victorious graduate on the PGA Tour next year. I don't really know how he didn't win obviously all these guys had very good years, but I don't know how he didn't win the points list. I think he had 7 top 5s this season. He's just on an absolute roll. He's won multiple times. So I think he's going to be a machine. He's a Minnesota kid, went to Florida Gulf Coast, but I know that a Monday Q Info is also very high on him. And then, Cristobal del Solar, it was a guy that we talked about earlier this year, shot 57. Wasn't it 57?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
he won the Korn Ferry Tour event here in Colorado. Thank you for leading me into my pick to win first on the PGA Tour, and that is Cristobal del Solar. And really looking at this list, it's a lot of names we know, so it's hard for us to judge. But even I'm sure you're a lot more aware of a lot of these dudes than I am. But other than Cristobal del Solar, Ryan Gerard, I've heard that name, Kevin Velo, Isaiah Salinda, Max McGreevy, even Matt McCarty, who won the points list. I haven't heard of him a ton. And then Harry Higgs, of course, getting his tour card back, really awesome for him. But I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, which I usually am when it comes to knowing these smaller golfers, I think Harry Higgs is the only guy of these 30 that's had consistent PGA Tour status, correct? Or just did some of the other guys and they just played so bad I never heard about them.
yeah, I mean, I think he's the only one that's really, like you said, had consistent status. I think there's a few guys that have bounced back and forth. Like maybe they got 1 year and then didn't stay up on tour, things like that. I know, like John Pock, I've heard that name before. John Pack. He was a very good collegiate player at Florida State, and he's kind of been back and forth. I know he's played in a few PGA Tour events, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, a lot of these guys, so many of them are 20 something, young in their early 20s, where they're fresh out of college, and now I think Chris Ventura is another name that rings a bell. Audric Potgieter, remember that guy? Yeah, big thick boy from South Africa. I really like him. He's a machine as well. So I think it's hard to say, but there's so much talent now. It gets overstated almost, but it is almost hard to even compare. Like you look at Korn Ferry Tour, web.com, 20 years ago, just the depth of professional golf is insane. Like I can't even put it into words. There's so many dudes on mini tours right now that could go win on the PGA Tour. Like Sahith Theegala, for example, our good buddy Eric Hallberg, who's been on the show multiple times. He said that he was playing mini tour events with him in Scottsdale during COVID. And now 4 years later, the dude's on the President's Cup team, a top 20 player in the world. So it is truly insane. One of these guys we could be talking about is the next star on the PGA Tour. So definitely without Liv, that kind of thing, there's a little bit of a gap there, where there's not quite as much depth on the PGA Tour, but it remains the same, that there's hundreds and hundreds of people out there that could go win a PGA Tour event right now that are just that good. And golf has just never been more talented than it is now. It's never been tougher to get out on tour. So these guys are definitely battle tested, especially having to go through a year on the Korn Ferry in order to earn their cards. So they're going to come out ready to rock for sure.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see these guys get back into the PGA Tour, because they're now playing against a whole different crop of players, a whole different crop of a lot better golfers, obviously, on the PGA Tour. So seeing what they can do against those players and really testing their mettle against the best of the best, when, yes, the Korn Ferry Tour players are great, but getting onto the PGA Tour is a whole other level. We're going to continue to talk about golf, but first, before we do that, we want to tell you guys about our great friends over at Shady Rays. I wear my Shady Rays all the time. I've got them on during the pod every single week. It's the only way I can speak fluently about the game of golf, is if I have my Shady Rays on. If I don't, it's usually I'm stammering through words, kind of like I am right now. But once I have the sunglasses on, I'm much more comfortable at just going after it on the pod. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. The best time of the year for golf in general is fall. If you live in a place that, even places that it's hot. If you go to Arizona, fall golf is great, but fall golf in Colorado, save for the leaves on the ground, is peak. And you have to play earlier and earlier, but when you get some of those twilight rounds in, and you're playing at teeing off at 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, getting 18 in, by the time you're coming up to 18, that sun's going to be in your eyes. So if you have the Shady Rays sunglasses on, it's going to make you a lot easier to see your golf ball. Shady Rays has you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. They're an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. There's tons of styles. Of course, we've talked about the Green Wolf golf glasses with the polarized lenses. Those stay in my golf bag at all times, and it makes it much better when I'm playing golf. I can see my 300-yard bombs much easier with my Shady Rays. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, where do you want to go next? Do you want to talk about Tony Finau a little bit?
I was going to say real quick, let's just talk about Tyrrell Hatton's win on the DP World Tour, because that was a big one. I didn't realize that these live guys are now able to play again in DP World Tour events, which is super cool. But Tyrrell played well. John Rahm played well. Brooks played well. The leaderboard was truly like almost kind of a throwback. It was a stacked leaderboard, which was super cool. But then John Elway was also playing in it because it is a pro-am event. So when I saw Elway, they were posting a few of his swings on the DP World Tour Instagram account. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Tyrrell got to play with his dad, which was awesome. Robert McIntyre got to play with his dad, and Rory got to play with his dad, which is just super cool. And the craziest part was Tyrrell's dad's swing and Robert McIntyre's dad's swing look a lot.
They have almost the same swing. Yeah, so looking at this leaderboard, it's like Tyrrell Hatton, Nicholas Colsaerts, Tommy Fleetwood, David Manbear Puig down there, John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, like you mentioned. And this was at the old course. So this is cool for them to get to play in an event like this on the DP World Tour. Also play, well, I guess they played the Old Course, Carnoustie, and Kingsbarn Golf Links. So a really cool event for guys to get to play in like this, where they're like, the live guys are obviously not in season. PGA Tour guys are not either, but the live guys get a chance to show their mettle and a chance like this, like at the Old Course and at a course that is, plays multiple majors at, et cetera. So cool for them to get to go play in this. And a guy like Tyrrell Hatton, who anybody that's on live, it's like, oh, maybe their game has fallen off or this or that. Tyrrell Hatton had no problem.
Yeah, and he actually said, he came out after, well, he didn't come out. He was being interviewed afterwards and said that he really enjoys this week because he likes to play laid back golf, which makes sense considering how he acts on the golf course. He definitely feels like he thrives in a casual setting. So no wonder he won, but he actually birdied the 18th at the Old Course in order to win the event on the last hole. So pretty cool win for him. And the DP World Tour just does it so well. Like, the PGA Tour is great and all, but there's just certain events on the DP World Tour where I just think they're undefeated. And the Dunhill Links is one of them, where they get to play these 3 golf courses. And it's just so much fun to watch them play and I mean, they went crazy low. Tyrrell shot his best round of his professional career, I think, on Friday. I think he shot 61. So the dudes go crazy low, and it's just a fun week. Like, I was watching quite a bit of golf. Honestly, I was watching a lot of the DP World Tour in the mornings out here. So it was a good watch.
Yeah, shout out to Tyrrell Hatton. Let's move on to Tony Finau, because this is something that it's kind of like one of those unspoken things that's going around. But Tony Finau is being sued, and it kind of relates back to like Tony Finau, in the eyes of most people, especially if you watch Full Swing, is a really good dude, right? And you don't get to see a ton of these athletes and what they're like off the field. And when you do, and you get a peek behind the curtain, if you will, at a guy like Tony Finau's life, or any of the guys on Full Swing, you see he's got a family. He brings his kids to all this stuff. Like, seems like a really good dude. But the quote from a protest organizer, Rocky Bulby, said, quote, "It's a story no one is telling. No one knows the real Tony." Cardboard sign saying, "Keep your word, pay your family back, and be honest with your fellow man." So basically, I'll keep reading from Golf Digest just a little bit, but Tony Finau's story has been cast as the American dream, a man of color emerging from the projects of South Lake City, gritty West Side. I don't know about that. To succeed in a white country club sport. Growing up, there are gangs all around us, a lot of drugs, some crime, and a lot of peer pressure to get into that. Golf saved us. So he was unable to afford regular course access, and I guess his dad set up a mattress against the garage door for him to arrange balls, very similar to like what Sahith's dad did. And he missed his PGA Tour card for 7 straight years and ended up getting some funding from, let's see, where is it?
This guy basically
Molinai Hola.
Yeah, he basically set him and Gipper up with like a bank account, like they set up like a foundation for him and Gipper to turn pro, to have funding. I guess this guy was paying for their home to live in. I guess so. It is. I do have to take the side of this guy because it sounds like he put over $500,000 into Tony and Gipper's careers. And this happens all the time in professional golf where, you're picking a needle in a haystack. You're trying to find a needle in a haystack by funding a dude that might make it out on the PGA Tour and make $70-80 million like Tony has made because this dude gave him $500,000. And when there's 100 other Tony Finaus out there, it kind of makes sense that this guy would get 25% of his career earnings because that's what was written in the quote unquote contract. And so this dude is suing him for $15 million because that's 25% of his on-course earnings. And in all honesty, like this dude gave Tony and Gipper $500,000. Gipper is Tony's brother, for those of you who don't know, who's also a very talented golfer. But $500,000 to somebody that may never step foot on even a Korn Ferry Tour event, or, it was a huge shot of faith by this dude, a huge leap of faith, excuse me. So just the fact that like, $500,000 is a lot of freaking money. So is $15 million. But if this guy funded you to get to where you're at, you got to pay him what you owe him. Like, I think that's pretty fucked up that they're pulling that on him. And then it's just it's so convoluted. There's another dude suing him, but the statute of limitations ran out. But he actually had more of a case. So that case got thrown out. But now this guy is almost like guaranteed to win this lawsuit. And then Tony, I read like the transcripts to this. I read the whole article, which is like way too fucking long. But basically Tony's like, I don't remember any of this happening. And it's like, dude, you're full of shit.
I don't remember somebody giving me $600,000+.
Yeah, exactly. Like, of course, that's just boilerplate bullshit. I do not recall. Oh, you don't recall when you were living in the slums of Salt Lake City and this dude cut you guys a check for almost $500,000 or over $500,000 so you could go move down to Scottsdale and play golf all the time and shit? Like, give me a break. So I will say the dude is a little bit sketchy. He's filed bankruptcy multiple times. He's been indicted on some shit. So the dude's background doesn't help him at all. But at the same time, it does sound pretty legitimate what he's saying, because in order to play a full-time mini tour schedule a year, even back then, it's probably 50, 60, 70 grand. So you need money, you need funding to play in that kind of shit if you're not winning. So crazy story, but could you imagine Finau having to cut a check for $15 million? Like, the dude's probably worth 150, 200 million at this point with endorsements. So it doesn't hurt that bad, but it's just, I would be salty if I was that dude, and no wonder he's fucking suing the guy.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I thought when it came up a couple months ago, because we kind of touched on it on one of our shows, but when it came up, you thought maybe it'd be something that turns into something that's swept under the rug, but it's still happening and still being tweeted about. So we know it's a big deal. We'll kind of follow along as we get through and see if there's any more happenings along this. But...
Well, and this dude's got buddies out there. I'm sure he's being like, well, I'll cut you in a piece. I'll throw you a few grand if you come out and protest with me. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, this guy's got he's got boots on the ground anywhere that Tony Finau's at. He's got 10, 12 people with signs written on it. Tony Finau's name written on signs, calling him out, calling him a piece of shit, basically, and all this. So I'm honestly shocked that Tony hasn't just succumbed to the public pressure of it yet. Like, why even let that linger over your head? It sounds like he's not losing much sleep over it, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that just a crazy situation all the way around, that there's so many of these other, there's 100 of these stories out there, if not thousands, but Tony's the one dude who made it and he's not paying the piper. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I have breaking news on this podcast. Nicotine helps your golf game. If you don't know, now you know. Nicotine helps your golf game. In an official Golf Digest article, they talked to over 100 tour players, and it sounds like nicotine is one of the overarching things that helps a lot of these guys get down and be able to play some good golf. It starts out with Sam Ryder, who was 6 over par through 8 holes in the first round of the Honda Classic. He knew he needed something to change his mojo. And he said he used oral nicotine pouches to rev up for gym workouts or on the range. So he popped one in and went to the next tee. Birdied 6 of the last 10 holes, following his front 940 with a 31 on the back. I left the pouch in for the rest of the round, Ryder says. There are times like that when you don't feel like you're clicking and nicotine can help. I'm not going to do it when I'm 3 or 4 under par. And then there's some other quotes from guys. Pat Perez says, I'll have a dip after I make a bogey. I kind of just throw one in all the time. But he said, he goes, some people say you're supposed to have it after you make birdie because it's like a reward. But I get mad if I don't put one in. I make bogey. If I don't make bogey, I might not have one all day. And they talked to, like I said, 100 PGA Tour players, or pro golfers, I should say, to learn more about the popularity. Tim Herron, who plays on the 15 older Tour Champions, when I'm putting in a long practice session, I'll put in a blank, a brand of nicotine pouches, to kind of maintain my focus, stick with my routine, and get things done. And then this is our guy. They didn't release his name, unfortunately, but one PGA Tour rookie told us he breaks out the pouches as soon as he gets to the course. We do it when we wake up, or if you never don't do it, but I won't play golf without them, even when I'm warming up. If I'm snacking, I'll take it out, but as soon as I'm done, I put one right back in. For me, they have a calming effect. That's our guy right there. That's our boy. I wish they would have said his name, but ironically, they talked as well in this article to the creator of the nicotine pouch. And he said, smokeless tobacco has been associated with southern or rural locales, but nicotine pouches are very popular now that seem to have found acceptance among a wider audience. He's the director for the Center for Global Tobacco Control and a faculty member of Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. They might be considered a cut above conventional forms of tobacco.
I will say I read this article. I've done extensive research on this. There was a Harvard, I mean, I want to know what I'm putting in my mouth, kind of. But there's a Harvard professor that chews nicotine gum nonstop. It actually connects like neural pathways in the brain that were not originally connected, and it is linked to warding off like Parkinson's or ALS, things like that, as you get older, because it connects those things in the brain that were maybe becoming disconnected. Sometimes that's just your power button. Like, I needed to wake up, I needed to do whatever I'm doing throughout my day. But yeah, I need nicotine all the time. So of course I need it on the golf course. But you see Brooks Koepka throwing in like absolute huge lippers. You see multiple guys out there. They try not to highlight it, but yeah, I mean, it's just a part of everyday life. On mini tours, I saw dudes ripping shots of whiskey in their car before they went to the first tee to calm their nerves. Half of those dudes are absolutely baked out of their mind when they walk up to the first tee. So nicotine, I would say, is probably the least of people's worries when it comes to substances before you play golf to help you become more calm.
Yeah, Sam Ryder says it's not quite 50% of players using it, but it's creeping in that direction. And then Brant Snedeker had a quote. He said it's rare out here to find a cat. They even brought the caddies into it, to find a caddy player duo where one of them doesn't do nicotine, than a duo where one of them does. Yeah. Well, so that's like a double entendre or whatever you call that. But basically, it's pretty rare to find a caddy player combo that neither of them does nicotine in it. Of course, these numbers are just guessing, but they're saying players are saying players it's about 50-50 if they do or not, but caddies it's about 60 or 70%. So those guys, they need something. I mean, not that they're bored, but they're not doing that. So they're not hitting the golf shots. So they're like, I need one of these.
I bet Scotty and Ted are like, nah, God's got me. God's all the focus I need. I bet they're the worst to play with. I would love to see, a group of dudes just bumming pouches off each other. Also, real quick, how did they talk to the inventor of the nicotine pouch? Like that feels like an old wives' tale. Like, how rich does that guy have to be if he literally invented the nicotine pouch?
Yeah, let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah. So, nicotine without tobacco when used in moderation is not a major health issue, but I'm concerned about the need for increasing doses, says Frank Etzkorn, PhD, professor emeritus at New Mexico Tech and inventor of the nicotine patch in 1986. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Nicotine patch. The more people use nicotine, the more the body craves it. Not true. Totally true. All too often, it becomes a lifelong addiction. Not true. Totally true as well. But yeah.
Honestly, it's just a little treat throughout your day. It's just something to look forward to when you have the monotony of life and you can just sit down and eat your lunch knowing that you're going to pop in a freshie after that, or you wake up and you walk to the bathroom to have your morning devotional and you fucking throw one of those puppies in. Like, it's just the little things in life, right? So just having a little reward throughout the day just makes it that much less monotonous.
Yeah, having 15 to 20 treats a day is like really just treating yourself and makes me feel good. All right, we're going to wrap this.
I just do that much good stuff throughout the day that I deserve that many treats. So.
I'm a treat guy. Absolutely. We're going to wrap this pod up with Mulligan Monday. So Mulligan Monday, this is where we go back and we pick something from the week that happened to us and wish we could have a do-over, have a breakfast ball, have a mulligan on that situation. I've actually got a couple, so I'm going to cornhole these for the weeks that I don't necessarily have one. But I'll go with the most recent one, and you've actually helped me with this. This happened to me about 3 hours ago. Before, I was riding my bike to the gym today. I did a late gym session because I had a rough Sunday with the Broncos playing. I'm finally get out of the house. I've been in meetings. I'm like trying to get stuff done. I'm like, okay, I need to go work out because I just kind of have this, like, if I don't work out, I feel bad about my day. So I get on my bike. I get like 100 feet from my house. Pedal pops off my bike and it wasn't tight enough. And so I'm like one pedaling it, like one legging it back to the house. Then I got to flip my bike over, tighten my pedal. And it's just like, I think I got hosed by the guy that put my bike together. Because it came in a box and I paid a person at a bike shop $100. And like I said, you've helped me with this. My bike has fallen apart before, middle of my ride to the gym. This is now twice that this has happened. I'm pretty sure I got bamboozled and the guy didn't tighten all the bolts tight enough on this bicycle here.
Well, yeah, isn't it like a $700 bike? Like, it's not a fucking cheap bike. So I would definitely be, yeah, I would be taking that bike back to that bike shop and shoving it up that dude's cornhole because that's fucking bullshit. Sadly, though, you're not handy enough to just fucking figure it out on your own. You need to maybe do some Googling and just sleuth it out so you can figure it out once and for all. But that is actually hilarious, just getting stranded on your bike in between, just in a random neighborhood. Like when I came and had to fucking help you out, you're just in somebody's yard, basically. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You look like Steven Glansberg out there just standing next to your bike in the middle of a neighborhood. But yeah, that is a good one. My mulligan of the week is I love to cook. Obviously, look at me. I love to eat and I also love to cook. I've been cooking, like, I feel like I'm basically our mom at this point because she always used to make huge portions of everything and then we'd have so many leftovers. And I'm not a huge leftovers guy. For the most part, it depends on what it is. I know you're a leftovers guy, Spencer. You have no problem with it. But I'm personally not a big leftovers guy. And so I made chili. I made banana bread. I made spaghetti. I made all these different things. And I freeze the spaghetti sauce, but like the chili wasn't enough for me to freeze. I made this big thing of chicken salad to have for lunch. and it was so good, dude. I put grapes in it. I put celery in it. Like, it was fire. But I made the portion so big that I just had I had to eat like the same shit. Like this morning or this afternoon, I was having chili for lunch, and I'm like, I am our mom at this point. Like, I made the chili 6 days ago, and I'm just eating chili every day now because I don't want to waste it, but I don't want to eat the fucking same thing for lunch anymore. Like, I need a little bit more spice throughout my day. So I'm in that predicament. Like, and obviously it's only my girlfriend and I, so we don't need portions for 8 people. And I'm just used to like making a bunch of food. So I need to dial it back a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't think we ever make a ton of too much food, but usually if we have leftovers, it gets me through one lunch. So that's about my threshold there is like we eat it for dinner. I usually take the next day off so I don't have the same thing 2 days in a row. And then the following day is when I bring it to work for lunch. But I like leftovers. A lot of stuff is pretty good leftover wise. And I even go as far as like when I'm pigging out, like I do every single dinner, I decide where to stop to give myself enough for one round of leftovers. Because you're like looking at 2 scoops of, let's say, sloppy Joe mix, and you're like, well, if I take one more scoop from my fat ass tonight, I'm not going to have enough for my fat ass on Wednesday morning for lunch. So I'll just leave these 2 scoops here, and then we can deal with it on Wednesday and have a nice portion.
You get to the point of no return where you're like, if I take 1 scoop, tonight, I'm just going to eat both tonight because there's no sense in fucking saving any. I don't need 3 bites of a leftover. So yeah, you either have to draw the line or you just go all in and just finish it all. I will say the one thing that I can't stand leftover is chicken. Like, unless it's in chicken salad, like cold or something like that, but warmed up, reheated chicken that's a couple days old or even a day old just grosses me the fuck out. And I've seen you do it multiple times. Even just the smell of reheated chicken throws me for a loop. I just can't do it.
Well, I eat leftover chicken, but I don't even reheat it. I eat it cold.
That honestly might be better, and then it doesn't have like that chickeny fucking stench to it. Because when I can smell like chicken in the microwave and it gets all rubbery, that just not for me. I can't do it.
Yeah, if it's like a chicken breast or a thigh, I'll just eat it cold the next time I eat it, which my wife thinks is a psychotic move, but I do it.
Well, that's another one of our mom's things that you got from her, because she definitely did that when we were kids. She would just grab and I will say, like, fried chicken, our mom's fried chicken is phenomenal. I remember her doing that when we were kids, like pulling a piece of leftover fried chicken out, but like grilled chicken or just like a skinless chicken breast reheated and it's like squeaky and rubbery and shit. Gives me the willies.
Yeah, that's not a great look. That wraps it up for us this week. I am at Big Drive Spence. He's at Big Drive Mitch. Follow us on all the social media channels at Big Drive Energy on both the X and the TikTok. If you're going to go over to Instagram, Big Drive Energy Pod. We will talk to you guys next week, Monday, potentially, maybe different time. We'll tweet it out, whatever time we figure out. But enjoy your week. Enjoy the greatest time of the year for sports, early October, getting into the sports equinox. We're about to have all 4 teams. Our Avalanche kickoff this Wednesday. Nuggets are not too far behind. Basketball and hockey's back. Baseball playoffs are a blast. Golf is kind of taking a back seat for now, but that's okay because it has its run all summer long. We will talk to you guys next Monday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.